their families at this holiday time. For those that don't have their loved ones home, just be with them and comfort them. And Lord, we thank you for, it's just a really opportune time for me to thank you for the 20 years of service that you have allowed me to serve Jackson County, and also for Dave for his 10 years of service to the county. We are grateful for the opportunity that we have had to serve in the capacity as county commissioner. We ask that you would bless us and continue to give us strength and health as we go further in our lives. Help us all to know that the service that we give is to edify you. We ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Go to the pledge. They'll be led by Gabby and Lauren Lutchka.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next up, we'll have the roll call. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Leitner? Here. Commissioner Lutchka? Here. Commissioner Rice?
Here.
Commissioner Alexander?
Present.
Commissioner Mahoney?
Here.
Commissioner Polacek?
Here.
Commissioner Elwell?
Here.
Commissioner Shotwell? Chairman Shotwell? Not present. Chairman Duckham?
Here. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next up, we'll have seasonal music performance. This will be by Hannah Overton in Tynefield, Claire Tynefield.
Take it away, ladies.
Upstairs, get ready for the rest. We're gonna start with Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. You know, if you want to sing along. Dasher and Dancer, Prancer and Vixen, Comet and Cupid and Donner and Blitzen. But do you recall the most famous reindeer of all? Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer had a very shiny nose, and if you ever saw it, you would even say it glows. All of the other reindeer used to laugh and call him names. They never let poor Rudolph join in any reindeer games. Then one foggy Christmas Eve, Santa came to say, Rudolph, with your nose so bright, won't you guide my sleigh tonight? Then how the reindeer loved him as they shouted out with glee, Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer, you'll go down in history. Now yours, right?
Thank you, ladies. After the meeting is concluded, there's going to be a special event on the 17th floor. Our music will present several more songs, and we're going to have a little bit of snack food to say farewell to our two departing commissioners. So you all are invited. Thank you.
Senator Pulaski is about 10, 15 minutes, if you'd be willing to have public comment.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
Approval agenda.
Yeah.
Move to approve the agenda.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Thank you. We're going to adjust the agenda here a little bit. We're going to skip over awards and recognitions and move on to communications and petitions, which we have none tonight. Special orders for public hearings, we have none tonight. We'll be moving up to item 6, that will be public comment. This will be a 5-minute public comment. Step forward, give your name and locate where you live, and there will be no discussion going back and forth. We'll just listen to your comment.
Dan Weimer from Napoleon Township. I'll be speaking in reference to the proposed changes to the naming and address organization. Street naming in Jackson County has been a local affair since the pioneers first arrived here in the 1830s and began clearing the forest. They named their local roads after lakes, rivers, hills, and ridges, after the destination they led to, or after themselves with their own family names. They often named the main street running down the middle of their village, Main Street. They created first, second, third, fourth, fifth streets, north, south, east, west, and center streets, whatever they wanted. It was theirs to decide and not limited by what somebody else, somewhere else, had named their roads, because it was purely a local affair. One street in Napoleon, Nottawaseppi, is in the Potawatomi Indian language because it was part of the Nottawaseppi Trail and already had a name when the settlers arrived. So naming was already a local affair even before the 1830s. So it has always been, and still is, a local affair. The problem of duplicate road names itself is confirmation, since that is the source of that problem's creation. The street naming and addressing ordinance currently in effect, adopted by the Jackson County Board of Commissioners 7/1806, revised 4/2109, contains the following language. On page 2, the assignment of new addresses shall be the responsibility of the local unit of government, village or township having jurisdiction. Page 14 says, whenever an error in numeric address or street name comes to the attention of the Street Naming/Address Review Committee, they shall initiate proceedings to correct the error if requested by the affected governmental unit. Page 1 of that ordinance says, this ordinance is adopted under the authority and provisions of the applicable statutes of the state of Michigan, including but not limited to PA 156 of 1851, parentheses MCL 46.11. And then PA 156 of 1851 contains the following language. 46.11, Powers of County Board of Commissioners. Item J. The majority vote of the members of the County Board of Commissioners elected and serving pass ordinances that relate to county affairs and do not contravene the general laws of the state or interfere with the local affairs of a township, city, or village within the limits of the county. The language of the current ordinance clearly affirms that assignment of new addresses and the decision of whether or not to correct an existing address error is a local affair. PA 156, cited as the source of authority for enactment of both the current ordinance and the proposed ordinance changes, not only does not empower the county commission to remove that function from a township, village, or city, it explicitly forbids it. You have in your agenda packet a letter from Scott Ames, representing the Naming and Address Committee, proposing that the changes be adopted tonight. In that letter, under Section 3 Analysis, Item F, it states legal/policy. The revised ordinance has not yet been reviewed by the county attorney. So I would ask you to consider those things as you make your decision tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Wyber.
My name's Ray Pierce. I live in Rives Township. I'm here tonight to introduce you to a program called Surveying Michigan. I have a commemorative stake and some pamphlets I would like to present to you.
Motion to receive?
Those opposed? Thank you, sir.
I'm here with a group that we put together. It's called Surveying Michigan 1815. It's the 200th anniversary of the baseline meridian. And as you may know, there's a state park here on the northern edge of Jackson County that commemorates that. And next year will mark the 200th anniversary. And a group of us have got together and trying to get a historic marker placed there. We are raising funds for that. And we want to have a celebration when we are able to place that at that point. We also have many, when I say many, quite a few local groups and some from around the state that's also supporting this. This is not just a Jackson County affair, it's a statewide affair. Everything in the state of Michigan comes from this place out here in the corner of the county. So that's some of the information. So far, I think we've got our act together pretty muchly. We are supported financially, or not supported, but we are administrated for our financial entity by Ellis Sharp Museum, so that we have them overseeing us. We have groups that are from Sault Ste. Marie and Ingham County and Jackson County, mostly historical groups. I probably am leaving things out. Well, the other goals is an educational module that we can put in the schools or to the residents to educate them how the land was laid out. This is part of Michigan's being from the beginning. So we're asking you for your support, input, whatever you can do for us to help move the project along. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Do we have any more public comment?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Eric Johnson. I'm from Norval Township. I am going to comment on the street naming addressing ordinance as before you. First of all, last week at our regular board meeting at Norval, we did pass a resolution in opposition to the ordinance. We have not had time to convey that to any of you or any officials here at the county, but I did want to make that a matter of public record. We are opposed to it. I'd like to, in adding to that, I wanted to express my own personal outlook on this. My own personal feelings is it's too broad. I have a personal anecdote I think I can maybe illustrate that with. Many years ago, my father had a fall in his house and broke his shoulder, and we called an ambulance for him to be conveyed to the hospital. And we were sitting there waiting. We figured, well, it should take about a half hour for the ambulance to get there. And after about 40 minutes, there was no ambulance. And then we looked down. We were able to see flashing lights on the street behind his house. The ambulance was lost. And after chasing, I had to go out and chase down the ambulance. They weren't even on the right street. And the reason they got lost, and the reason why it took an ambulance call that should have taken maybe a half hour and took at least an hour to get to him, was because of the numbers. It wasn't the street names. It was the numbers. My father moved out to the area many years ago. There were no houses on, he lives on a state highway, and there were no houses on that stretch of the state highway back then, but there were cottages on the lakeside. So his house was numbered in sequence with the houses on the street behind him back then. This is probably 80, 90 years ago when this occurred. And when I was looking at the FAQs, why are you doing this, or what do you plan on doing this? You want to address numbers out of sequence? You want to address numbers on the wrong side of the road versus odd versus even, north, south, east, west? You want to get people's addresses on where their frontage of their houses are. If there had been changes to the ordinance at that time, for my father, probably he would not have had to go through that wait while he's sitting there in pain in his house. So those, when you are talking about addressing safety, there is value in what you're doing here. However, it had nothing to do with the road names and the addresses. And that's why my own personal feeling here is that it's too broad. I think you can address most of your safety issues in the county by just looking at your numbering systems. If you get into street names, you're going to get into a lot more problems. You're going to incur unnecessary costs for our businesses. I'm a member of the Brooklyn business community. I know they're very much opposed to this. And quite frankly, when we get to talking about this out in our areas, the support through it falls right through the floor when it becomes known that the city of Jackson is exempt from this ordinance. So the feeling, or what I think people are feeling out there is that, well, the city of Jackson, for whatever legal reason, I don't know what there is, but I assume you're not just doing this because you're being nice to the city and want to put this on the rest of the county, is that basically the city of Jackson is going to cherry pick all the good names. They're going to get Michigan, they're going to get Maine, they're going to get east, west, north, south, Oak, Cherry, Elm. They're going to get all the street names. And out county, you're going to have problems with support for this ordinance within the populace once that is out there. And that will, of course, turn into issues in terms of compliance if you're enacted in its current form. I think you can address safety, but I don't think you can do it all in one swoop. I think you have to break this down and address those factors which involve safety the most. And like I've said, in my personal opinion, I think that's in the numbers. A lot of these numbers were set up many, many years ago by Consumers Power. And,
You have 1 minute left, Eric.
I got that. That's a good system you have. And I think there is some correction that needs to be done, but doing it in this way, in one swoop, I think you're taking on too much at one time, and it's going to cause a lot of bad feelings and disruptions, and isn't the best way to go about it. Thank you all.
Thank you for your comment. Any more public comment? Welcome.
Good evening. I'm Tammy Bates here on behalf of District Court. First, what I'd like to do is thank Commissioner Mahoney and Commissioner Lechka for your years of service. It's been a pleasure. What I want to talk about is our reorganization plan briefly, just to remind all of you that the reorganization plan you'll be voting on later today is not asking for an increase in any personnel budget line item. These are dollars that are already approved. What we're looking to do is eliminate 2 positions, consolidate 3 departments, and get an upgrade for some of our employees and still save the county about $45,000. This is a proactive move. It's good for the community. It's good for our employees. As all of you know, the last time a wage study was done was in 1997. That's quite some time ago. And the employees at District Court have not seen any wage reclassifications since that time. The alternatives, I know there's some alternatives that have been proposed. District Court currently is not in favor of alternatives. We're looking for a yes or a no vote tonight from you. And I thank you for your consideration.
2 for the price of 1. I'm Michael Claren. I'm the Chief Judge for the District Court. I think both inside and outside the County of Jackson, our District Court is recognized as a very well-run department. In fact, we could have rehired a new manager and a new employee, and no one would have said anything. However, we like to lead from the front. I think it's fair to say that economically, this community probably is going to stay the same for the next couple of years. We're under pressure from the Supreme Court to consolidate. Our employees are under pressure because they're required to do more and more and receive less pay. The proposal which we have outlined is going to be a rather dramatic change in our court. It's going to create a lot of turmoil. But we're not looking for a short-term fix. We're looking for a long-term solution. In this particular situation, you should have seen the proposal. We have 4 countywide elected individuals, the 4 judges of the district court. I think you folks know some or all of us. I think it's a fair statement to say that these individuals are of 4 divergent beliefs, personalities, and so on. But the fact of the matter is, these 4 county officials have all signed off on this agreement, on this proposal. Granted, change does bring some short-term difficulties, and I recognize that Mr. Overton has raised some of those difficulties. But this is an innovative proposal. It's going to be a gift that keeps on giving. We're permanently eliminating 2 positions. We're putting ourselves in a position when the county commission years down the road says, cut your budget, we're going to have employees that have the flexibility to pick up the slack. So I urge you, take a long look on this proposal. Don't look at your short-term comfort, and I would urge the commissioners to support and pass this reorganization proposal. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Supervisor Britton?
Todd Britton, Leone Township. I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year also. The reason I'm here, I want to echo what Eric and Dan and also JB is probably going to get up right after me about the street names. I think it's more not about the names, but more about the numbers and also a fairness issue also. But the main reason I came here, and I'll probably speak at the end of the meeting also, is about the SRI bond payment. Back in June, Leone Township sent a letter to the county asking you to do an audit for the SRI to see if Leone Township had the money in there to make the payments. And we were asked to wait until after the elections because there was a lot of politics involved. We've waited 5 months for that, actually 6 months. Elections are over. It's been over a month. We wrote you a check for $16,000 to have that audit done. The audit that was done prior by the regional authority only cost $8,000, so we're giving you double the money from what the regional audit was. And I'm just, I know you can't answer my questions, but I'd really like to know what the holdup is. It's a phone call. You've got to call Plant Moran, get the ball rolling. If there's things that the regional wants done over and above that is not what the judge's ruling was, they can pay for any of those extra additional costs. And that's what we're here to speak on. The judge's ruling, it clearly states in there, I don't know if any of you received a copy of that, but I'd be happy to give you one. But the townships, Columbia, Hanover, and Liberty, are responsible for 100% of that payment. And it's the county's responsibility to enforce that. We don't have any more money to give out. We drained our rainy day fund. Over the last 40 years, our residents in the township, which are the Leone Township sewer residents, so almost 80% of those residents are on gravity, which there's $0 to pay for gravity for maintenance, and yet our residents were paying 100% of them were paying $10.25. So that money that accumulated over all these years, that's where we've been making the payments from. And there's a rumor going around that Leone has made the payments from day one. Well, that's true. We have been making the payments. But when it first started, Columbia, Hanover, and Liberty were making those payments to Leone, and Leone in turn paid the money on the connection fees to make the bond payments. So I just want to set that straight because, yes, Leone has made the payments from day one, but the money didn't come out of Leone's funds. That came from Columbia, Hanover, and Liberty, from their connection fees. And I guess that's it. Thank you. Thank you.
Any other public comment?
Good evening, Commissioner. Just like to start with saying thank you to those commissioners that are retiring. Best endeavors in the future, and thank you for your service over the years. My name is J.B. DeJay. I'm the president of the Village of Brooklyn. I spoke at the last meeting. I would just like to restate my opposition to the renaming of the streets. Very sobering what the items that Mr. Weimer from Napoleon had mentioned, especially in the legal aspect of it. Of course, I'm not a lawyer, but it seems pretty cut and dry to me. I'd also like to state that I also view this as an unfunded mandate to the citizens and the businesses. I do appreciate the comments by Mr. Britton, as well as by Eric, with regards to it's not so much the numbers but the names, but that still would create the costs incurred just to change that information as well. I thank you for your time.
Any other public comment? Public comment is now closed. It's my understanding that we need to return to awards and recognition. Is that correct? Correct. I'll be doing it from right down there. Representative Pulaski is here? I see that. But I only have Representative Pulaski in my hand at the moment. Let me go first.
Well, this is kind of one of those happy and sad sorts of occasions that state representatives have to deal with from time to time upon the retirement of a active and wonderful county commissioner, our dear friend Gail Mahoney. And I have before me a special tribute to you, Gail. And if I might read it, I realize we've got a couple little edits to make to it, but it's going to be perfect momentarily. Okay. This is a special tribute to Gail Mahoney. Let it be known that it is with a strong sense of admiration for all the sacrifices she has made on behalf of the people of Jackson County that we salute Gail Mahoney for her 20 years of service as a county commissioner. She has capably served the people of Jackson County, and we thank her for her effective leadership and many contributions that will long help the community. In the 20 years since Gail began her responsibilities as county commissioner, the people of Jackson County have appreciated the dedication and belief in this community's future that have marked all elements of her work. A graduate of Lewin Christie High School and having earned degrees from Michigan State University and Wayne State University, Gail Mahoney has used her education to further serve the interests of the people of her community as the Deputy Director for South Central Michigan Works for over 8 years. Not only is Gail Mahoney well known in Jackson County, but she's recognized nationally for her service on local and national boards and commissions, including NACO and MAC, the Jackson County Fair Board, the Armory Arts Alliance, Mid-South Substance Abuse Commission, in which she was immediate past chair, Region 2 Planning Commission, the County Parks Board, Passages Center for Women's Health of Allegiance Center for Women, National Association of Black County Officials also. And also Gail has been a member of NACO, as I mentioned, the Finance and Intergovernmental Steering Committee since 1996. Her record of service as a county commissioner has been exemplary as vice chair of the Human Services Committee when first elected in 1994, and she was chair from 1998 to 2000. In 2001 and 2002, she served as chair of the Personnel and Finance Committee. 2003 and 4, Gail served as the chair of Human Services Committee and is a member of the Personnel and Finance Committee. For 2012, Gail was vice chair of Personnel and Finance and a member of the Human Services Committee. Also, Gail Mahoney has been a member of the National Association of Counties Finance and Intergovernmental Steering Committee since 1996. Gail Mahoney takes with her a belief that county government should strive to provide services that the citizens cannot provide for themselves. It should protect the public health, safety, and welfare. It should protect the environment, encourage economic development, and promote education. A county should do all of these things without discrimination. So in special tribute, therefore, this document is signed and dedicated to honoring and thank Gail Mahoney for her work as a county commissioner for our magnificent county, Jackson County. May health and happiness be hers always in the future. And it's signed by Representative Shirkey, and by me, and by Governor Rick Snyder. It's our great pleasure to give this to you, Gail. There's Don right up there. See Don? Okay. Don, you got it? Okay. Here. Thank you.
My fellow commissioners, it's an honor and a privilege to ask you to move Resolution 14-12.44.
So moved.
I have a motion and support. Whereas Gail Mahoney was elected in 1994, representing the 7th District and the citizens of the portion of the city of Jackson, and served through 2014. Whereas Gail's knowledge and her sincere appreciation of her two mentors, Carl Breeding and her predecessor, Sadie Barham, and whereas Gail's philosophy, as shared by Representative Pileski, of and for county government, is that it should strive to provide services that the citizens cannot provide for themselves, and do so without discrimination. Therefore, be it resolved that the Jackson County Board of Commissioners wishes to express their heartfelt gratitude for Gail's 20 years of service to the citizens of Jackson County. May I have a roll call vote, please, Madam Clerk?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Leitner? Yes. Commissioner Luchka? Yes. Commissioner Rice?
Yes.
Commissioner Duckham?
Yes.
Commissioner Alexander?
Yes.
Commissioner Mahoney?
Yes.
Commissioner Placzek? Yes. Commissioner Elwell? Yes. And Chairman Shotwell.
A great heartfelt thanks, Gail, it is a yes. I thank you very much, and I remember working with you ages ago when we were at Lumen Christi together, and at that time, she was concerned about people because she was a hall monitor and a guardian and involved in student government. Thank you, Gail, again, for everything you've done for this community. Representative Shirkey could join me.
David, where you at? Hiding, huh? David, it's my pleasure to be here tonight to recognize you with this tribute signed by myself and Representative Pileski and the Governor Snyder. Let me read just a couple pieces of it, please. Let it be known that it is with deep appreciation for the hard work, dedication, and professionalism that David Luchka, you, David, has put forth on behalf of the people of Jackson County District 2, that we offer this expression of our thanks and best wishes for your next steps. As the people of Jackson County and District 2 recognize the loyalty and devotion to public service of this conscientious individual, we add to our sentiments of gratitude for a job well done since 2004. In 10 years of service, the people of Jackson County have been working in the public arena during an era of great change. As Dave well knows, just use your first name, not your last name. All right? Dave well knows financial pressures and changing expectations have combined to make the recent past a challenging time to work in local government. With a personal sense of duty that Dave brings to work each day, however, he has been able to meet this challenge with enthusiasm and genuine care. He has sacrificed time and his family and more. This has been deeply appreciated both by citizens and organizations in Jackson County District 2 that have benefited directly from his service as Chair of the County Affairs Committee, Chair of the Fair Board, Vice Chair of the Farmland and Open Space Land Preservation Ordinance Task Force. Is there an acronym for that?
We don't like agriculture.
Okay. And a number of groups dealing with agricultural matters. There can be little doubt that the record of David Lechka in his responsibilities as Commissioner over the last 10 years, will continue to reap rewards for the people of Jackson County. We offer our thanks because of this. In special tribute, therefore, this document is signed and dedicated to join with the citizens of Jackson County in thanking Dave for his 10 years of public service as County Commissioner. We appreciate your hard work. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Good evening again, my fellow commissioners. I bring before you Jackson County Resolution 14-12.43 to entertain a motion of. And we have a motion and support. Whereas David Lechka was elected in 2004 for representing Jackson County's 2nd District and has served the citizens through 2014. Whereas Dave has served at many state-level boards locally and on the Ag Council and Project Red, one of his favorite special projects at the fairgrounds. And whereas David believes that common sense can solve most problems. Therefore, be it resolved, the Jackson County Board of Commissioners wishes to express their heartfelt gratitude for David's 10 years of service to the citizens of Jackson County. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Lechka?
Abstain.
Commissioner Rice?
Yes.
Commissioner Duckham?
Yes.
Commissioner Alexander?
Yes.
Commissioner Mahoney?
Yes.
Commissioner Placzek?
Yes.
Commissioner Elwell?
Yes.
Commissioner Leitner?
Yes.
Chairman Shotwell?
Yes. Going to miss you, David. A lot. Thank you. Are we ready? Why do we have, Mike, why do we have item 7? Am I to go to a special committee?
Yeah, we're going to standing.
Personnel finance?
Yeah,
At this time, I'm going to ask that the Personnel and Finance Committee meet behind Vice Commissioner Phil Duckham so they can conduct business pertaining to the Jackson County Department of Transportation.
There you go. I did. Merry Christmas. How are you? Nice to see you. Did you have a festive time?
Call the Board of Commissioners back to order. This time I'll entertain a motion for approval of the minutes of the November 18th meeting. I have a motion and support. Any corrections, deletions? It was moved by Commissioner Mahoney and supported by Commissioner Duckham. Ready to vote? The voting is open, Commissioners, on your computers. Yes or no on the minutes? Yes. Okay. Commissioner Leitner votes yes on the minutes. Okay.
She's unable to read them, so she's voting no.
Okay, you can vote
So
no.
it's 8 to 1.
Not allowing you to vote or allowing you to read your minutes? Minutes have passed 8 to 1. We've arrived at the consent agenda. Are there any items? I need a motion to move the consent agenda, please. I have a motion and support. Elwell and Rice. Commissioner Elwell made the motion, Commissioner Rice supported. Any items for removal this evening from the consent agenda? Seeing or hearing none, please vote. You're voting yes this time? The consent agenda passed unanimously. We've now arrived at standing committee reports. Affairs and agencies, chaired by Commissioner David Elwell. Commissioner Elwell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All we have tonight are appointments, a lot of them. Start out with the airport board. There's one public member. It's the seat of Steve Wellman, who was the applicant and was the recommendation from committee.
We have a motion and support. Any nominations from the floor? Seeing nor hearing none, all in favor? Those opposed? Duly carried.
Thank you,
Commissioner Elwell.
Mr. Chair. Next appointment is the Board of Public Works. It's the seat occupied by Ken Ellenbass, and the recommendation from committee is Larry Baum.
Any nominations from the floor? Seeing nor hearing none, all in favor? Those opposed? Duly carried. Commissioner Elwell.
Number of appointments to the Department on Aging Advisory Council. The first seat is that of Diane Derby, who was the applicant and the recommendation from committee.
We have a motion and support. Any nominations from the floor? Hearing none, all in favor? Those opposed? Duly carried. Commissioner Elwell.
Next seat is occupied by Donald Peterson, an applicant, and also the recommendation from committee.
Any nominations from the floor? Seeing nor hearing none, all in favor? Those opposed? Duly carried. Commissioner Elwell.
Third seat is currently occupied by Teresa Abbey, and the recommendation from committee is William White.
Have a motion and support. Any nominations from the floor? Seeing nor hearing none, all in favor? Those opposed? Duly carried. Commissioner Elwell.
Next seat occupied by Sharon Best, who is the recommendation from committee.
Any nominations from the floor? Seeing nor hearing none, all in favor? Those opposed? Duly carried. Commissioner Elwell?
Next seat is occupied by Barbara McClure, who is the recommendation from committee.
You have a motion and support. Any nominations from the floor? Seeing nor hearing none, all in favor? Those opposed? Duly carried. Commissioner Elwell?
Next seat is occupied by Howard Griffiths, who is the recommendation from committee.
We have a motion and support. Any nominations from the floor? Seeing nor hearing none, all in favor? Those opposed? Duly carried. Commissioner Elwell?
Next seat is occupied by Tina Gross, who is the recommendation from committee.
Any nominations from the floor? Seeing nor hearing none, all in favor? Those opposed? Duly carried. Commissioner Elwell?
Last seat on that board is the seat of Michael Butchert, who is the recommendation from committee.
Any nominations from the floor? Seeing nor hearing none, all in favor? Those opposed? Duly carried. Commissioner Elwell?
Moving on to the next board, there's one seat on the Fair Board. It's a public member seat occupied by Jill Sears, and she is the recommendation from committee.
We have a motion and support. Any nominations from the floor? Seeing nor hearing none, all in favor? Those opposed? Duly carried. Commissioner Elwell?
The next board is the Hospital Finance Authority. First seat is occupied by Karen Kaufman, who is the recommendation from committee.
Any nominations from the floor? Seeing nor hearing none, all in favor? Those opposed? Duly carried.
Next seat is held by Tony Saman, and he is the recommendation from committee.
We have a motion and support. Any nominations from the floor? Seeing nor hearing none, all in favor? Those opposed? Duly carried.
The next seat is occupied by Jason Valenti, who is the recommendation from committee.
Any nominations from the floor? Hearing none, all in favor? Those opposed? Duly carried.
The last seat on the Hospital Finance Authority is occupied by Michael Overton, who is the recommendation from committee.
Any nominations from the floor? Seeing nor hearing none, all in favor? Those opposed? Duly carried. Commissioner Elwell?
The next board is the Parks and Rec Board. There are two public member seats. The first seat is currently occupied by Kenneth Price, who is a recommendation from committee.
We have a motion and support. Any nominations from the floor? Hearing none, all in favor? Those opposed? Duly carried. Commissioner Elwell?
Next seat on the same board is occupied by Robert Dubois, who is the recommendation from committee.
We have a motion and support. Any nominations from the floor? Seeing or hearing none, all in favor? Those opposed? Duly carried. Commissioner Elwell?
The next is the Planning Commission. There are three public member seats. The first seat is occupied by Nancy Hawley, who is a recommendation from committee.
We have a motion and support. Any nominations from the floor? Seeing or hearing none, all in favor? Those opposed? Duly carried. Commissioner Elwell?
The next seat is occupied by Jennifer Morris, who is the recommendation from committee.
Motion and support. Any nominations from the floor? Seeing or hearing none, all in favor? Those opposed? Commissioner Elwell?
Third seat is occupied by Ted Beals. The recommendation from committee is Jared Vickers.
Any nominations from the floor? Seeing nor hearing none, all in favor? Those opposed? Duly carried. Commissioner Elwell?
The last group are from the Region 2 Planning Commission. The first seat is currently occupied by Cassandra Legao, and the committee recommendation is Ginny Broderick.
We have a motion and support. Any nominations from the floor? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Duly carried.
The next seat is currently occupied by Chelsea Bryant, and she is the recommendation from committee.
Any nominations from the floor? Seeing nor hearing none, all in favor? Those opposed? Duly carried.
Third seat is occupied by Elwin Johnson, who is the recommendation from committee.
Any nominations from the floor? Seeing nor hearing none, all in favor? Those opposed? Duly carried.
The next position is currently filled by Lynn Fessel, and she is the recommendation from committee.
We have a motion and support. Any nominations from the floor? Hearing none, all in favor? Those opposed? Duly carried. Commissioner Elwell.
Mr. Chairman, there's one last vacant seat, and there was no recommendation from committee.
After a conversation with Robert Walsh and seeing that he was interested in 3 committees, and he does come from my district, he's interested in serving in that seat, and I would nominate him from the floor. Any other nominations from the floor for the vacant seat? Seeing nor hearing none, all in favor? Those opposed? Duly carried. Commissioner Elwell?
That concludes the business of my committee, Mr. Chair.
David? Standing Committee Human Services. Commissioner Alexander chairs. Commissioner Alexander?
Thank you. Human Services Committee has no business to bring in front of the full board.
Thank you. Standing Committee Personnel and Finance, chaired by the Vice Chairman, Phil Duckham. Vice Chairman Duckham?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have 3 business items tonight to conduct. The first up will be the 12th District Court reorganization proposal. It's been explained to us in the public comment, but the 12th District Court is proposing a reduction in the number of employees, merging of several departments, and a process will result in better service to the public. It increases efficiency, and it will result in a pay grade increase to 39 employees of the 12th District Court that seem to be one notch under where they should be as far as pay grade, and at the same time it returns next year, and it will be unused this next budget year, I suppose, $50,000 back to the county general fund.
Mr. Chair, if that was a motion, I'll support it. If it was not a motion, I'll make the motion.
Was that a motion?
I'd absolutely make that motion.
And you support? Now, so I understand, you're endorsing the recommendation of the county administrator and all 4 district judges to recommend approval of the 2015 reorganization plan as spelled out by them. Is that correct?
First of all, I'm supporting the motion, his motion, and
Okay.
it's the I'm speaking of the proposal laid out by the district court administrator.
Correct.
Correct.
Yes, that's what I'm referring to.
I have a couple of comments if I could too.
Commissioner Elwell?
I'm very supportive of the plan. We got all our questions answered, I think, at committee level on it. I was appreciative of all 4 of the judges coming to that meeting and this one to voice their support for it or their position on it, which they do appear to fully support it. I like the fact that it's thinking outside the box. It does save the county money, and there was a commitment that when a wage study is done next year, if it's determined that some of these positions need to be redlined to get them in line with the recommendation, the district court administrator indicated she would be accepting of that. So I think there's nothing to lose for us on it. We are constantly asking our staff and departments to think outside the box. They're doing that here, saving us money, and also importantly, making the court operate better from the standpoint that the public sees. Thank you.
Commissioner Lechka?
I totally support the concept and everything. However, in light of the fact that there's a salary study going to be done this coming year, would it be something that the board, or maybe they would accept a retroactive pay to the date of the reorganization based on what happened to the what the salary study recommendation is, rather than the automatic step increases to the level that they are now?
I think you'd have to make that as an amendment to the the item, Dave, if that's what you'd like to do.
I'll make that as amendment.
Is there support to that amendment? Seeing no support, Dave, your amendment dies for lack of support. Any other questions or comments, Commissioner Lechka? Commissioner Duckham?
I would like to again commend the 12th District Court for their plan they put forward. I fully support it. It's a win-win situation. I like that. It's just so refreshing to see government step forward and voluntarily reduce the size and reduce the cost of government. How many times have we seen that happen? I love it. Thank you. Thank you, 12th District Court.
Any other commissioners like to speak? Commissioner Mahoney?
Thank you. I'd just like to say that it's really exciting for me as an outgoing commissioner to be here to see this happen, something that's been talked about, trying to make the courts more efficient, and for those people that work in the courts to go about coming up with a plan that will make more efficiency for the public is commendable, and I'm really very happy to see this happen while I'm still here. So thank you very much.
Any other commissioners like to make a comment? Commissioner Alexander?
Thank you. The proposed reorganization plan is impressive. The initiative that was taken is appreciated. Again, thinking outside the box and moving forward. Some of the issues that our administrator's office did address in his memo are valid and worthy of conversation. I've had quite a few conversations with knowledgeable individuals about some of my concerns, and the biggest being the wage study, being so close around the corner, and the precedence that's being set for other employees. That is a concern. I'm hopeful that this will all come together in a positive manner in regard to the wage study, because we have 500 employees that need to be considered, as well as the 39 hardworking employees in district court as well. Thank you.
Any other commissioner comments? Commissioner Rice?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm also thankful that this was brought forward originally by our administrator. Obviously, as commissioners, we did discuss the administrator's recommendation. In fact, we discussed it quite thoroughly. And the information we got from the court, specifically Tammy Bates, from my perspective, and certainly, as you can see from my fellow commissioners' perspective, cleared up for us that this was the right thing to do. So as far as any future employees or future departments wanting to potentially look at their reorganization, well, I look at this a little differently. I look at this as a step in the right direction. We have the 12th District Court who has taken the first step that is in the right direction for Jackson County, for the people in Jackson County, and it's also fiscally responsible. So to me, this is the first step of being responsible. So if others want to be responsible, go for it. Thank you.
Commissioner Leitner?
I just want to take a minute and thank Tammy for her time. She's answered any questions I had. Mike Overton, I loved the plan from the beginning. The biggest positive to me was it obviously isn't costing us any more money. And I know that in her presentations, she's always mentioned the team player approach and attitude that they've had. And considering we are doing a wage study, that just takes more time. And I spoke with her on the number of employees she had when she started as, with district court in the management position, and what they have now. And they have already decreased by, what was it, Tammy, 17, 18 positions? 56 to 30, well, essentially 41, right, with you and your deputy. And the other thing that I like is, since I've been here, I mean, obviously my tenure's been short, but she's, in my eyes, run a pretty tight ship. And this summer, we had the Cunningham case, which I know you guys are aware of, and that affected their budget tremendously. And she wasn't here asking for more money for their court. They made do with what they had. And for her to come forth with this, saying, hey, we're going to cut even more and save you money on money that you've already appropriated to us, I think is a big kudos. And I would challenge other departments to take a look at their areas as well, not just for cutting, but, figuring out a way to do what they did ahead of time, and not because they have to cut $50,000 or $100,000 or whatever from their budget. So like I said, I'm in full support of this, and kudos to you and the court and the judges and your workers. I think it's justified, and I think it's awesome. So that's it.
Anyone else like to speak? Seeing none, it's on your screen if you'd like to vote. Unanimous? Yeah. Contrary to what the screen says, it is a unanimous vote. We're having some technical difficulties back here. Pass 9-0. Commissioner Duckham.
Next item of business, Mr. Chair, is the Jackson County Department of Transportation budget adjustment. This reflects the actual money received over expected budget and reflects actual costs incurred by the Department of Transportation.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Any further questions or comments? Can you post a roll call? Should be appearing on your screen momentarily to vote. I got 8. Unanimous. Commissioner Duckham. We have a motion and support. Any commissioner comments? Commissioner Elwell.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, I was saying yes to the clerk who asked who supported it.
Any other comments? Should be appearing on your screen to vote. Pass 9-0. Commissioner Duckham.
That's all the business we have.
We've arrived at unfinished business. GIS draft of revised street naming and addressing ordinance. Need a motion to begin discussion.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Commissioners. Commissioner Elwell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do have a couple of amendments that I'd like to make separately, if they're okay to do now. The first, and I provided them to the clerk, they're very brief. The first would be to change line 118 of the document to read, in part, "A village or township willing to accept responsibility for the administration of," and then the remainder of the language would obviously remain. And what that would do is take the word liability out. That's currently in the document.
Support.
We have a motion and support. Any discussion to the amendment, which will be what we're voting on first? Commissioner Rice.
I mentioned this before during our committee process. To me, this isn't a matter of trying to get townships to, or make them liable. What this is doing from my perspective is, we as a county and the committee that was put together to amend this ordinance made it very clear that to get this thing done, it had to be done responsibly. And as I said before, along with responsibility comes liability. And I know there's people who disagree with me on this, and that's certainly fine. But from my perspective, from where I come from in life, when you take on the responsibility, you also take on the liability. That way, you can show people that you are there, you are going to follow through, that you're willing to be not only responsible, but liable for your actions. Because from my perspective, again, that sends a strong message that we mean business, we want this done properly for people's safety, and etc. So, I have a real hard time with the idea of removing liability. Again, as I said before, everybody has liability. The county has liability. You don't take something away. You don't take something and say, well, I guess that'll be okay, but let's take a word out, especially when, again, responsibility and liability, from my perspective, belong together. Thank you.
Commissioner Elwell, then Commissioner Duckham.
I'm going to slightly repeat myself from my prior comments at committee when I talked about it, but the liability thing is a good place to start. And if you remember, at the study session, I asked the administration if there's any document they would ever recommend to us, the Board of Commissioners, to insert the word or the words in that we accept liability for a particular action or resolution. And in fact, it's not in this document that we're looking at now. If we're so up and hip on accepting liability, why don't we have the word in here to say that we take liability for anything that could happen because of it? And it's just not something that I think is appropriate to force another municipality to put in print. I don't think our council would ever recommend that we insert the words that we're accepting liability for action that we take. Are we liable for things we do? Certainly. The courts sort those out. But you don't put that in a document that you're adopting, and I just don't think it's appropriate to force it on other municipalities. I support what the intent of this ordinance is, and I appreciate the hard work of Scott and the committee that worked on it, and there's a lot of good work here. But if we want the local municipalities to accept it, we can't get into a head-butting contest with them, and that's what we're going to do. You're going to have municipality after municipality opting out or challenging whether we even have the authority to do it. I think without at least the words liability in there, we stand a chance of bringing them on board to make some positive changes. But it's just something we would not want forced on us, and I can't see us forcing it on them. Thank you.
Commissioner Duckham.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The word liability really bothers me also. The townships, by taking on responsibility, and villages that take on responsibility for the addressing ordinance, certainly realize there's a liability there. But to put right in the resolution that we're liable, to me is like waving a red blanket in front of a bull. You're encouraging people to come after you. If there's any issues, you're saying, I'm liable, and That's wrong. You may even think you're liable, but that's up to the courts to decide. And I don't think you should be running around waving a checkbook in the air saying, I'm liable, come and get me. So I will not support this with liability in there, and I'm most likely not going to support it. Anyhow, I believe that it's going to cause more confusion in the next 2 or 3 years than it's going to produce help. And I think the townships should be doing it on their own. And I do recognize the fact that since 2008, it was supposed to have happened, and some townships took on the responsibility, some townships didn't. But the 4 political entities that I represent in District 4, none of them are in favor of having this ordinance imposed upon them. So I will be voting against it. Thank you.
Commissioner Letchka?
I think by removing the only thing I can see by removing the word liability is that you're trying to make it sound softer so that the townships will adopt it. I mean, whether the word's there or not, they're liable. I mean, so by taking it out, it's just saying, to me, it doesn't even make sense to take it out. But you're just trying to make it softer so that they will adopt, take the responsibility for doing it. So I couldn't support it without the liability word in there.
Commissioner Placzek?
Yeah, I believe when you put in the word responsibility, that the liability is assumed. And so I believe that the word liability should stay in there, and I agree with Commissioners Leshka and Rice.
Completed the first round. Is there any other commissioners want to start a second round, or shall we vote? Okay, Madam Clerk, are you ready?
Yes, I am, Mr. Chair.
Okay, what you are voting on is Amendment 1. Change line 118 to read, "A village or township willing to accept responsibility for the administration of." Correct? Thank you, David. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Rice?
No.
Commissioner Duckham?
No.
Commissioner Alexander? No. Commissioner Mahoney?
No.
Commissioner Placzek?
No.
Commissioner Elwell?
Yes.
Commissioner Leitner?
No.
Commissioner Lechka?
No.
Chairman Shotwell?
No. Correct. 8 noes, 1 yes. The amendment...
Thanks, Phil.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, the second amendment I was going to make is a moot point for me. I'm not going to vote for the ordinance, so I'll pass on the second amendment I was going to recommend.
Okay. We're now back to the main motion of the recraft of the ordinance. Is there, and corrections that have been so in, is there any other amendments to be made to the document? Seeing nor hearing none. Okay, the makers of the main motion were Commissioner Alexander, supported by Commissioner Lechka. Seeing that there's no more questions, the GIS draft and revised street naming ordinance appears before you to vote yes or no. Two noes. Paul's voted no. The revised ordinance passes 6-3. We've arrived at new business now. Human Resources presents tentative agreement with the Police Officers Labor Council, POLAC, with Jackson County. We have a motion? We have support? Any comments? Seeing none. Commissioner Mahoney made the motion, supported by Commissioner Letzko. It should be coming up. 9-0. We return to the second round of public comment. Yes, ma'am. Okay, I apologize.
As the commissioner that is leaving the board tonight, according to our rules and policies, it says that you have to leave all boards and commissions that you currently serve on. At this time, I'm asking the board to allow me to continue to serve on the Lifeways Board.
I would support that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You bet. Any conversation from the floor? I would assume, your office, your term would stay until 2016, April.
April 2016. is
Correct.
when it's up.
And we're asking you to fill that position, and then in April, we can look at appointing a new commissioner to one of the other seats if we so desire, as we've done in the past. I have a motion in support to endorse this. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Duly carried. Thank you.
One other thing, Mr. Chair. I also currently serve on the Region 2 Planning Commission, and I'd like to be able to continue my service with them.
We have a motion in support. Continued endorsement of Commissioner Mahoney serving on Region 2 Planning. Seeing nor hearing none, if there's anything that has to be qualified, we will take care of that afterwards. All in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Any other business? We've arrived at the second opportunity for public comment. If you'd like to address the board, you have 3 minutes.
I would just like to take the opportunity to thank the board for your decision tonight. I know that it means a lot to not only me, the judges and the employees. Not all of them were able to make it tonight, but I know that several of them came. It just solidifies that you, the Board of Commissioners, are behind the employees, and we appreciate it, and we thank you very much.
Bob DuBois, and I would just like to thank the board for reappointing me to the Parks and Rec Commission.
Pete Jancic, Blackman Township. I'd just like to thank both the outgoing commissioners for their service. Anyone who's held elected office knows that it's never an easy task, so thank you for your service.
Todd Britton, Leone Township. I just want to, again, reiterate, please urge this board to move forward with that audit by Plant Moraine. Put this issue to rest. The SRI, it should not be paid for by Blackman Township, Brooklyn, Cambridge, Grass Lake, Leone Township, Linden, Napoleon, Norville, Sylvan. It's strictly the judge's ruling that Hanover, Columbia, and Liberty are responsible for that bond debt on the SRI. So please move forward with that as soon as possible. Thank you.
Any other public comment? We arrived to commissioner comments. Commissioner Palachuk.
Yes, I was wondering if it would be possible for the county administrator to provide a staff report on the 911 call center. Over the last year, I'd like to know how many calls were made by each user or agency and how much each user or agency pays into the 911 call center above and beyond the 911 telephone tax. And I also like to wish Gail Mahoney and Dave Leschka best of luck.
Did you get all that? Any other commissioner comments? Commissioner Duckham?
I too would like to thank Commissioner Mahoney and Commissioner Lutchka. I've been here 9 years, and what little bit I know, I learned just by watching them in action. So, best of wishes in whatever you do next, and Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Commissioner Leitner, then Commissioner Lutchka.
I just want to say thanks to Gail and Dave. Gail has always answered my phone call and any questions and has offered me insight anytime I've asked about anything coming onto this board as a new person. And I want to thank Dave. He's been awesome. I've loved sitting down here with him. I'm going to miss him tremendously. I've served on Fair Board with him, and therefore Joan out there as well. So they've been great. They're great leaders in our community, and I'm going to miss them. Best wishes.
Thank you.
Any other commissioners? Commissioner Elwell.
Just ditto on the thanks to Dave and Gail both for all your service and hard work.
Any other commissioners?
Dave had his hand up first.
Dave?
I'd like to wish everybody Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. 10 years is I think, enough. The real reason I'm leaving is I've been carrying these people on my back for 10 years. I've had 3 hernia surgeries and lost 50 pounds, so. And I guess I've approached this, and I hope the rest of us, I think they have here, there's a difference between a politician and a public servant. A politician looks at things and says, how can I act on this thing that makes me look good? And a public servant is one that says, how can I act on this that helps everybody? And I guess that's what I've tried to do, even for this 10 years and the 32 years I worked with the Department of Treasury. So thank you very much, and I thank all the voters in District 2 for their support.
Commissioner Mahoney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would just like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and great wishes for 2015. And I'm just really happy to be able to make a transition and have my nephew, Daniel Mahoney, Daniel J. Mahoney, since we're into those initials, to be taken over the reign for the 7th District. My predecessor told me that she had been waiting to retire when she found someone who she felt would take care of the citizens in District 1 at that time, and now District 7. And my nephew has always shown a lot of interest, and I think he'll bring a lot to the board, and I'm looking forward to following his career. And his wife, Simye, being here tonight, I'm happy. And for those of you that don't know, when I joined the board, my son Matthew back there, my oldest was 10 years old. So he looks a lot different than he did 20 years ago. So I'm happy that him and his girlfriend are here tonight. And to all my friends and the fellow commissioners that I've served with, we had some really good times and some rocky times, but I can tell you that I'm counting my good days that are better than the bad days. And so I'm very happy to be leaving the board at this time. And I wish all of you the best that are staying here and going to continue to fight the fight. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other commissioners? Yes. Any other commissioner comments? Seeing none, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Commissioner Lechka and Commissioner Mahoney, who I've had the privilege of serving with. Commissioner Mahoney, again, since I came on the board in December of 2002. And we've worked together, we've done a lot, we've accomplished a lot, and I really appreciate how you've put up with me. I thank you very much, both of you. We are adjourned.